Sitting at the kitchen counter while a sexy doctor puts antiseptic on your scraped knee is the only reason to date a doctor. Well, not the only reason. The first reason actually is that they make piles of money. Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I've been thinking about the next reading vlog that I want to do, a book that I need to do it for, and I'm pretty sure that you expect me to put out a vlog for Queen of Nothing and Ninth House, which is fair. But my TL is kind of crowded with reading vlogs and reviews of these two books, and I don't feel like I can offer any new perspectives on them. I will read them eventually, but at this exact moment I feel like reading something else. And this something else is some FF romances. I already picked up one FF historical romance, which is The Lady's Guide to Celestial Mechanics by Olivia Waite. It is about a young girl named Lucy whose father is an astronomer and who was helping him until he died with calculations, but was never given any credit, and who wants to continue the work after his passing, but the Science Society does not take her seriously. She visits a house of Lady Moth, who is a widow to another scientist with whom Lucy's father was conducting the work, and they both want to convince the Science Society that Lucy has to be the one to translate this acclaimed French astronomer's work. I'm already 50 pages in, and I feel like the first part was a bit rushed until Lucy made it to Lady Moth's house, which I understand we want to get to the romance, but I would have preferred to get more info. The romance seems promising, even though it's a bit too soft to my liking. I prefer a bit more intense romances, and this lacks sexual tension for me right now. Maybe it will change and I will like it more. The other books that I want to read this week are The Final Rose by Eliza Lentzski, which sounds absolutely bomb. It is a queer retelling of The Bachelor. I love my reality TV, I'm not going to lie. I don't watch The Bachelor, but I watch similar shows, and the idea of all-female bachelor is, I don't want to say groundbreaking because it's not the right word, but it is alluring, tempting, makes me very curious. And even if it's going to be absolute trash, I feel like I'm going to enjoy this scenario either way. The other romance novel I'm excited about is The Wrong McElroy by Hughes. I have not read anything by this author, but I believe I've seen her before. It is about a woman named Fiona and her best friend Michael who needs a date to bring back home for Christmas, and since she doesn't have much to do, she accompanies him and falls in love with the family and also falls in love with his younger sister. I am obsessed with this summary. I feel like this is going to give me a lot of feels. Another book that I want to pick up is The Set Piece by 𝕊𝕆𝕙𝕀𝔸𝕃, which is also published by Eliza Publishing. I feel like they should sponsor me because I stan their books. So this one offers a very fresh take on the fake dating, fake fiancés, fake marriage trope. Basically it's about this woman named Amy who is in a rough patch, and a guy named Diego Torres who is a closeted soccer player. They decide to enter a fake marriage, fake dating situation, so he won't be outed or so he won't be asked any more questions about his sexuality, and Amy falls for his assistant named Casey. So it's kind of set in a sports setting, but the characters that we follow are not actually athletes. Let's do two more. I don't think I would be able to fit more than 5 books in a week, even if they are romances. Just for Show by Jay. I've read Jay before. I like their writing very much. It is about Claire, who is a couple therapist and who has to publish a book about couple therapy, family therapy soon, and her fiance is calling off the engagement. So she's afraid that the publisher is going to cancel the book because if a famous couple therapist cannot keep their own relationship intact, how can she offer any advice to other people? That's why she hires a fake fiancé named Lana, who is an actress. Another performance that comes highly recommended is Who'd Have Thought by J. Benson, also from Iliu Publishing. Should I write them and ask them for money? It is also a fake marriage troupe, and it is about a top neurosurgeon named Samantha who needs to get married very fast. She doesn't disclose why, and she offers $200,000 to Hayden Perez, who is an ER nurse. I suspect that they know each other from work. And they strike a deal for only 2 years of marriage, but supposedly they're not getting along. I'm really excited for this week. We'll probably enjoy it more than other weeks this year. So, I finally finished the Ladies' Guide to Celestial Mechanics, and I have things to say. First of all, Lucy is too smart to be a lesbian. We all know that lesbians are dumb. And the moment Catherine gave her an embroidered shawl, she's like, immediately, this chick wants to bang. And I think it's very out of character for queer women. We do not make moves. We sit and we wait, and we end up alone with our cats. So, completely unrealistic. But then they had this fight by the end of the book, and I thought, no, she's one of us. She's so dumb. Such an idiot. Literally, they had no reason to fight, but they fought, and neither of them understood why, including me. So, now we're being serious. At parts I thought this novel was extremely unrealistic and I wanted to give it 3 stars. For example, somehow Lucy knows what a DS relationship is, which is a dominant submissive relationship, and her whole character is built upon her being a country girl and not knowing much of the things happening outside of her sheltered life. She went to school and then went back home and was assisting her father in his scientific work. And Catherine was supposed to be this character that went out into the world with her now dead husband, and knew things about it. And when Lucy went on telling Catherine that it's a valid relationship and that some people enjoy that and there's nothing wrong with that, like, I get it, I'm all about it, I'm all for it, but it's definitely the author injecting herself into the story, in her opinion, because Lucy has no way of knowing anything about it because of the way she's written. So that was the part that annoyed me, but the banter was cute, and the sex scenes, I at first thought it's going to be super mild, boring, and very vanilla, which I enjoy in real life, but when it comes to books, I want a bit of a variety. Give me something more, give me smut. This one maybe is not smart, but it does have a very interesting sex scene. The only thing about the sex scenes that made me cringe is the use of the word folds. Never in my life I want to hear the words wet, hot folds used for vagina ever again. We need to stop that immediately. This is not the word that is sexy, and we should only use it for dresses and for fans. So even though 25% into this novel I wanted to give it 3 stars, in the end I give it 4. And the banter is the fault here. Like, the banter is very, very flirty and fun. I'm going to start The Final Rose by Eliza Lentzski. I'm super excited for it. It's a bachelor retelling with all women. I hope it's super fun, has a lot of drama, has a love triangle at least, and everyone fucks everyone. And also I hope that it's smutty and sexy, because that's what I'm looking for from The Bachelor. People banged on The Bachelor, I'm pretty sure. Also, the final rose was the Patreon pick of December. From now on, I'm going to do reading vlogs for the books patrons pick for me to read. So if you're interested in contributing, you can do that down below. You'll find the link to my Patreon, you can join and tell me what to do. I've started on the last rose. I'm actually in the middle of the book right now, and I also picked my pace, so I'm putting on 𝕊𝕊𝕀𝔸𝕃 night cream with As Like Is It an Asset? So the last rose turned out to be a completely, well, not completely, but a different book than I expected. I thought it's gonna be Bachelorette, so the Bachelor is going to be a girl, but actually the Bachelor is the guy, and the people that are competing for him are all girls, but two of the contestants are going to fall in love. Well, they're currently falling in love. I think that this book, even though it's clearly an indie, is very addicting. I couldn't stop myself from reading. I went to sleep at 3 a.m. yesterday because I wanted to read more. It's not extremely well written. I think it's very rushed, and it's more like an exploration of the setting or of the idea, right? But I find it so interesting. I also am a huge fan of reality TV. You should know that if you're going to pick up this book. So it's not boring for me. Everything is very interesting. The author is not getting very deeply into the production of the reality TV show, which is also a very fascinating topic for me, but I still enjoy it very much. The only thing that annoys me is not even some typos that even I, with English being my second language, notice. It's the fact that 𝕊𝕊𝕻𝕃, the protagonist, has this friend named Candace, who's also on the show, and somehow her bigotry is supposed to be funny or endearing, and I don't understand that. She constantly calls her Pocahontas or Indian princess, or asks her about her skills with bow and arrow and kayaking, which is weird, putting it softly. Weird. Anyway, this whole situation is giving me huge yikes, but the romance is really cute and tense and nice, and there's an obstacle which I appreciate. I am going to continue with the book, even though I don't think that it's going to be more than a 3-star book, but I am enjoying it, so... Time for a quick update. I finished The Last Rose, and even though at times it was not the best romance novel and not the best novel in general, I do believe that it's an indie and that it doesn't have an editor. I still had so much fun, especially by the end. I would say that with each chapter the story became better, and that's a huge plus. At the end of the day, I want to give it 3 stars, even though the fucking folds appeared again. I don't know what's up with queer sex and folds. I don't get it. We don't need it. I started on one of the most promising books so far. It is Who'd Have Thought, and I knew that it comes highly recommended, but I had no idea that it is literally so perfect. I'm about 50-60 pages in. I stayed up late last night because I wanted to read more, and I already love this story so much. It has fantastic characters that literally jump off the page. It has a lot of humor, a lot of banter. It has a great setup and exposition. I rarely give romance books 5 stars. I think there are only a handful of them that I've given 5 stars so far, and that is because I do have high expectations for those types of books, and also because when I'm giving a book 5 stars, I'm expecting that I won't mind reading it a second time. And it's hard to do with romances because romances are so fleeting, you read them so fast. With this one, I already know that the opportunity that I'm going to give it 5 stars is very, very high. It is one of the best ever romances that I've read ever. It is about a nurse named Hayden Perez. She's 27 and she struggles with her student loans and bills, and one day she's on Reddit just looking through listings and she finds a person who offers a huge sum of money for a 1-year marriage. I think at first I thought it's a 2-year marriage. She thinks it's a prank at first, which is fair, and then when she becomes desperate, she messages this person and they meet up. Turns out that it's a neurologist from her clinic named Samantha, who's older than her, and with whom she doesn't have a fantastic relationship. I also love the writing. It's light, it's funny, it's quirky, while maintaining the appropriate amount of descriptions. And I think that the hit is growing between the characters. Also, the protagonist is pansexual, and her best friend is a non-binary person named Luz, who also has a fantastic personality, and I would like to read a story about them. Maybe it exists and I don't know. I hope no one is surprised that Who'd Have Thought is now one of my faves, is getting 5 stars, and I will probably repeat it in the future. It's a perfect romance, and I don't think that any of the books remaining on the list that I've prepared for this video are going to top it. The majority of romance readers love the fake dating, fake marriage trope. I do think that it's a bit overpowering considering that there are so many romance books and so many of them feature it. But this book took the most realistic approach to developing this relationship, because both Hayden and Sam are so awkward around each other at first, and I think it is super authentic to a situation like that. I also have to say that it's a deliciously slow burn novel. I have not read one of this in a while. I think that a lot of romances rush into it, and the development was so well done. I think that they switched to a sort of romantic relationship only maybe 70% into the book, which was so good and so believable. And at first, when we hit that sex scene mark, I was disappointed that it was a fade to black scene, because there was all this build-up and I wanted to see them bang, to put it frankly. But at the end, the author delivered, because the last 50-60 pages were just straight up one sex scene after another, and they were hot. I mean, this book is hot in many ways. I will just try to list some of them without spoiling much. So it has some hot doctor care scenes. What I mean by that is that classic scene that involves a doctor love interest when the protagonist scrapes her knee or has a minor injury and the doctor is like, "Let me take care of you. I'm going to patch you up and it's going to be filled with sexual tension." I don't know if it's only me, but it's super hot in my opinion. Sitting at the kitchen counter while a sexy doctor puts antiseptic on your scraped knee is the only reason to date a doctor. Well, not the only reason. The first reason actually is that they make piles of money. There were suspenders involved at some point. Sam, the doctor, wears suspenders to an art show, and I swooned. I love suspenders. Also, when the characters are undressing and one of them is in suspenders, the hit is unbearable at this point. In conclusion, Who'd Have Thought is truly top-tier FF romance, and you will hear me talking about it on this channel again. I have 2 more books to read and they both sound very promising, but I'm not sure how much time I'll have today. I done my nails already. They're very cute, they're matte. And I also have a cooking class today. I'm going with a friend. It takes around 2 hours, so a lot of time. I will try to read while commuting there, and maybe by the end of the day I will read at least half of a new book. The time has come for me to finally wrap the whole thing up. So, I can totally tell you that I cannot count, because in the last section I told you that I have 2 books to go, and I actually had 3. So the first one that I finished was Just for Show by Jay. I gave it 3 stars. Overall it was underwhelming. I will tell you why. It is about a therapist, a couple therapist, that hires an actress to play the role of her fiancé because her actual fiancé broke up the engagement, and now the protagonist named Claire is afraid that the publisher is going to pull back on the couple therapy book that she's writing, and because of that she needs to enter a fake dating relationship. It is not one of the most unrealistic fake dating scenarios, but still, this book did not sell the fantasy to me. First of all, I don't think that the characters had chemistry, and I wasn't really enjoying the relationship. The protagonist named Claire was a terrible therapist. Well, she was good at therapy for other people, but she was terrible in her own relationships, which I feel like is a tired old trope that I don't appreciate anymore. And the second thing is her love interest named Lara was described in the book as full-figured, which is a pretty term for her being fat. And Claire the whole time tried to justify to herself that it's okay that she's attracted to a fat woman. And I was pissed off about it. She came around, but I don't feel like any person with a normal self-esteem would date someone who would think that they are unattractive or that their body is unattractive the way it is. I don't feel like the romance is justified here. I don't see how they got together. Well, I've read how they got together, but I don't believe in it. So it is a bad sign for a romance book. I also definitely think that me loving Who'd Have Thought affected my experience with Just for Show, because they both had a fake dating trope, fake marriage trope, and you cannot read 2 books in a row with the same trope and not compare them. Who'd Have Thought completely rocked my mind, and this one felt so mild and so boring in comparison. I gave 3 stars because the writing was, well, good, and I liked certain parts of it, but I was not invested much in the romance. I feel like if I was a harsher person, I would give it 2 stars, but I'm not that harsh. The second book that I finished was 𝕊𝕆ℙ𝕀𝔸𝕃 McElroy, which was the one that I was very excited about. It also has a fake dating trope, but the people that are pretending to be dating are not actual love interests. So it is about a Chinese Malaysian girl named Sophie who is asked by her best friend Michael to come to his parents' house and pretend that she is his girlfriend, because both of them are actually gay. And I felt that. I also, as a queer woman, can really relate to that and think that it's very believable. But even though the concept was great, the execution lacked something special in my opinion. It is a very festive Christmassy novel, the atmosphere is fantastic in it, but I also struggled with the relationship that develops in this book. Sophie meets the family and she falls for Michael's sister. The sister, Eliza, reminded me a lot of Ginny Weasley, and the family in general reminded me of the Weasleys because they were all redheads and it was a large family. Even though I dig the vibe for a little bit, by the middle of the book I started to get annoyed. They all acted as if they are 12-year-olds, and there were too many of them for such a short book. I also thought for a long time that Sophie and Michael are going to hook up, because the author spent more time developing their relationship rather than her relationship with Lizzie, the love interest. So my involvement and my care for the romance was very low. There's also a very weird scene somewhere in the middle of the book where Sophie has some kind of an existential crisis. She lays on the floor in her bra and panties, and Lizzie comes into the room, lays down, hugs her and kisses her neck, and then they don't talk about it anymore. Never happened to me before. I honestly don't get it. I feel like it actually happened. I still don't know. There was an attempt to have a larger discussion, but at the end it felt very anticlimactic. So one of Sophie's worries coming to this family house is that some of them are going to be racist, and some of them are going to ask her a question about her family and her traditions, and ask her if she knows other Asians. And the grandma was racist. So Lizzie, the love interest, actually addresses it, and Sophie is so uncomfortable she runs away to the room that was given to her as a guest. A real issue was so underdeveloped in the novel because by the end Sophie completely forgets about grandma being racist and even kind of treats her as this cute older lady, which I didn't understand. I would consider this book a 3-star read as well. It's a good attempt, but something didn't land. The last book that I wanted to read for this video also had a fake dating trope. It was The Set Piece. And I decided that I need to change gears here because it was very obvious for me that every other book except for Who'd Have Thought with this trope so far I didn't like. So I decided to pick something short, something sexy, something, you know, invigorating. So I browsed script for a little bit and found this tiny erotica vignette, Dapper by Jenny Frame. And the concept of this is good. It's properly sexy, if you know what I mean. It is about a woman who works as a seamstress. Her name escapes me, but everyone calls her Miss Honey. So she works for her uncle in a shop that specializes on suits. One of their clients, named Byron, who is a butch banker, asks for a suit and her uncle cannot do it that day, so he offers for her to cover instead. They meet up and it turns out that Byron always kind of noticed her in the shop, and Miss Honey always kind of fantasized about Byron also. So would I be into a suit-wearing butch banker going after a seamstress and showing her the world? Absolutely. I would gobble it up. But this book slowly turned into a train wreck. It started really hot, and then we got You're Not Like Other Girl vibes, You're So Innocent vibes, and also, at a certain moment, for some reason, they started treating a strap like it's a real dick. And I didn't get that at all because Byron was using she, her, and there was no indication that Byron is a transgender man. So make it make sense. Maybe I'm just so vanilla that I don't understand. If there is a more experienced queer woman that can tell me about this phenomenon in the comments down below, I would appreciate it, honestly. I would have liked to see something like that done seriously, like for realsies. This clearly was some kind of fantasy that was written down and the author didn't really care about it being a real story. I gave this vignette a whopping 1 star, and I would actually try something else by this author. She has good ideas and maybe she's treating her other stories more seriously. I know that she's traditionally published, so maybe her traditionally published things are better. Anyway, these are 5 FF adult romances that I've read recently. And in the comments down below, tell me if you ever heard about them, if you read them as well, if you're interested in any of them. Maybe if some of them that I felt were train wrecks would actually capture your attention, because that definitely happens. Thank you for watching this video, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon with my next one. But until then,